Welcome to Lutherans Alive. We believe that God is doing wonderful things through us, and so this is the program that seeks to tell the stories of Lutheran Christians and the way they do ministry here in Southwestern Pennsylvania. I'm Pastor Tony Schneck, pleased to be your host today, and with me on the program today, Barbara Ravenstahl, who happens to serve as a synodically authorized minister. That's a bit of a mouthful, and sometimes abbreviated with the letters SAM or SAM.
Or discount pastor.
Or discount pastor. I haven't heard that one. That's a new one. But you tell us a bit about what is exactly a synodically authorized minister?
A synodically authorized minister is a layperson appointed by the bishop who goes into a small congregation and serves them as a pastor in that place for a certain period of time until they are able to call full-time clergy.
Okay. Now, that means that you serve in the ways that a pastor would serve, in terms of preaching,
Yes.
in terms of presiding at
Communion.
sacraments, all of those things.
And that authority is given by the bishop.
Okay. And how long have you been a synodically authorized minister?
Since 1998.
Okay. All right.
I've served in Hazelwood, St. Paul's in Hazelwood, and Faith Natrona Heights.
And your husband also serves the church as a pastor, and he's serving where these days?
He is at First English Lutheran Church in Sharpsburg.
Very good. Very good. So what is it that's keeping you busy at Natrona Heights right now?
Many things are keeping us busy right now. We are very involved in many community ministries as well as ministries within the church. We are very involved in a ministry for homeless families. It's called Interfaith Hospitality Network. We house families that are homeless every 9 weeks. We have them for a week. They come at 5 o'clock in the evening. We give them dinner. They sleep in the church. They are then picked up at 7 a.m. in the morning and taken to a facility where they can shower, and they work on trying to find housing during the day, and then they return every evening at 5 for supper again. And our people take turns providing food and eating with the families. They also spend the evening with them, helping with homework, talking with the adults, or watching television, or whatever seems necessary, doing crafts and things with the children. And then someone from our parish also stays overnight in the church with them. So, and then we have also from that program have families who, after they have found housing, come back and become part of the congregation, which is very nice because then we get to continue to serve them in many other ways other than providing the food and housing. Then we get to have them in our worship community and have the children in our Sunday church school. So that is probably our biggest outreach right now into the community.
That's wonderful, because you hear a lot about ministry to homeless men, ministry to homeless women, or sometimes women in crisis who have children who go stay at some sort of shelter.
Correct.
But you don't hear as much about ministry to entire families that are homeless, but there is indeed that need in our communities.
There is definitely a need, and what a shame to have to break up families in a time of crisis like that. And our people probably are ministered to by them as much as they minister to them, because they have found out that although we use the term homeless, it could happen to any one of us at any given moment. And these families are not any different than we are. And that has been a very good eye-opener for all of us. We no longer call them those people who are homeless, but we have come to realize we could also be in that position very easily.
There's certainly some very unfortunate stereotypes of
Absolutely.
the homeless.
We had one family who, the man had his own business, and because of health issues and the economy, he lost everything. And there they were, totally homeless. So it's not always what we think it is.
And how wonderful that some of the families have chosen to take that next step and have found themselves in the life of your congregation, worshiping and even serving, in some ways wanting to be a part of things in the congregation that has been so helpful to them.
It is. And we baptize children, and they have some of them who may move out of the area while they are in the church itself, sleeping and staying there, have come to worship services while they're still in the area. And some of the children have served as acolytes and that sort of thing during the time they're there. So those who have had church background before but maybe not able to get to their own congregation right now will still become active while they're in the program. So it's been a very healthy relationship for all of us. We're very grateful to be able to do that.
Good. Synodically authorized ministers are very helpful in many different settings. And is it true that, is it accurate to say that some congregations are very well suited for a synodically authorized minister? Have you found that to be true in your experience, that you've been just what the congregation needed at that particular time?
The synodically authorized ministry program, I think, does have its advantages for certain congregations. Not for all, but I think when a congregation is small and cannot afford a full-time ordained pastor, but yet has some potential to grow if they just have a time frame that they can have a synodically authorized minister for 20 hours a week to do ministry and have it consistent, the same person there for a period of time, that helps a congregation to grow. The same person all the time that they can relate to. It's known in the community and becomes part of them. Or sometimes a congregation in conflict. I think synodically authorized ministers help, because ideally this is not a career that we're depending on. This is a second career, or some of them have other employment and serve as synodically authorized ministers also. So that we can probably go in to a congregation in conflict and relate differently to them than an ordained pastor can, who has a family to support or is depending on that income because of the lessened salary. So I think they're helpful in that.
Barb, thanks for what you shared so far. We're going to take a short break.
Okay.
And then we'll be right back with more here on Lutherans Alive. Welcome back to Lutherans Alive. We're continuing our conversation with Barbara Ravenstahl. She serves as a synodically authorized minister, caring for the people and leading the people at Faith Natrona Heights. And tell me again now how long you've been there at Natrona Heights, because you spoke earlier about how helpful the consistency can be if folks in a congregation have that consistent person for a while there, and as yourself, a synodically authorized minister. How long have you been there at Natrona Heights?
I am beginning my 7th year. Usually these are not that long.
Okay.
I was originally to be there for 1 year. At the end of 1 year, they were not able to call an ordained pastor. And it continued. And so now it's to end. We are now involved in Natural Church Development Program. So the goal is that I will take them through Natural Church Development, and then I will leave and they will be able to call an ordained pastor, or they will go into some sort of parish sharing with an ordained person.
And for those who may or may not be familiar, the natural church development process is one that takes an overall look at a congregation's ministry by looking at different areas of ministry and seeing which ones are strong and which ones perhaps not as much. Do you want to say a couple of words about that, maybe, the NCD process?
Yes, it was very interesting, and we were pleased with the results. Our lowest area was passionate spirituality, which is not at all unusual for the mainline denominations. So we are working on that now. And passionate spirituality, for those who may not be aware of what that is talking about our faith. And we know we Lutherans are not known for evangelizing, or which passionate spirituality is not necessarily standing on the street corner and talking about your faith. It's about in your everyday acquaintances, when the opportunity comes to discuss your faith, or if you are aware of someone having a problem and you are talking to them about faith and praying and the support that God gives. And so we are in the process now, and we've done the survey, of course, and they give us this, they have 30 people fill out a survey, and from that survey they determine your weak areas. You work on that, and we just had a small part of our congregation meet on Sunday, and we discussed areas that how we could improve this passionate spirituality. And now we're going to have a whole congregational event on May the 15th, where they will all have input on how we can possibly increase this area. The idea being that as you build on your weakest area, the other areas will grow also. So
It's true that we Lutherans do tend to play our spiritual cards close to the vest,
yes,
so to speak.
Yes, we do.
And but at the same time, we believe we have something wonderful to share, and why not be excited about that? And if people know us, those who are closest to us, or even those who we interact with every day, if they know that we're married, that they know who our favorite football team is, what kind of music we listen to, what kind of books we've read, all those things, can they not also know what's deeply important to us? And just to say, hey, this is what my faith means to me. This is what Jesus means to me. This is what God has done in my life, is to share one's faith. And we can do that.
We can do that. And we're working on that.
Yep.
And we have improved on that, so
Yeah.
we hope it continues.
Good. Good. You were also, during the break, telling us about a unique Bible study that your congregation has. Do you want to say a few words about that?
Absolutely. They are a wonderful group of, well, right now we're all women, but we do encourage some of our men to go, but we work in the meet in the morning, so that I understand it's difficult for men to come if they're working. We have a black woman from the Baptist Church. We have a woman from Evangel Heights Pentecostal Church, non-denominational, I guess I should say. And we have a woman from the Presbyterian Church. And we have other people who come in and out, but those three are the regulars, and then all of us Lutherans. So there's about 14. And we meet every Tuesday morning at 10:30 without fail. And what we have found is sometimes we disagree on interpretation of Scripture or on a theological point, but when we come through the process, we realize we may be different and we may not agree on all points, but our basic beliefs in Jesus Christ are pretty much the same. What is more unique about this group is that they have become a wonderful support group for each other. There are about 15 women, and they are able to share their deepest problems in life along with their deepest spiritual parts of life and how their faith affects their life. And hardly a week goes by that one of them has encountered some sort of problem, either with family or whatever life brings to them. And they share. And sometimes many tears are shed, but we work through it. We support each other in prayer. And it has become a wonderful, close-knit Christian group of people from different denominations who can study Scripture and share and cry and laugh together. Many people from our congregation walk by and hear the laughter and the good time and are not totally convinced it's Bible study, but it really is. And so
what a wonderful model for the rest of us, that even though we may not always agree on every point, that we can come together in Christian unity and love and support one another, cry together, and laugh together.
We have a wonderful time together, and we now are beginning to have fellowship with other people in those congregations and doing choirs together and picnics together, and so it's sort of blending this Christian community in Natrona Heights and hoping that other people will see this and become of one part of a church, whatever church they find that fits their needs and their spirituality.
It's true that food often brings people together too, so
Absolutely.
That's good.
Oh, yeah.
That's good. More with Barbara Ravenstahl on Lutherans Alive after we take another short break. We're back on Lutherans Alive with Barbara Ravenstahl, serving as a synodically authorized minister, or a SAM, as they are sometimes called, at Faith, Natrona Heights. Barbara, as you've served a few congregations now in this role as an important lay leader in the church, how has this been for you? What has being a synodically authorized minister meant for your own faith journey?
My own faith journey, probably as I was 12 years old and went to live with my grandmother. And my pastor there always encouraged me to do many things in the church. And even as I went to college, I was still at home and commuting, and that pastor encouraged me, even then, to always be part of the church. And at that time, women or girls did very little in the church. We didn't even acolyte. So I always probably had a calling to serve in the church. But choices of vocations in the church were very limited, and certainly pastor was not an option for me at that time. They were not ordaining women and would not have thought about that. As time went on, my husband, Howard Ravenstahl, came as a summer intern to my home church. And so therefore, after that, I became married to a pastor and became very involved. And so my faith increased always as I went, and was always able to serve the church and God in that position. More and more, I became involved in synodical things and served on committees and different areas. But then when Bishop McCoy began this program, and he asked if I would consider this, which with fear and trepidation I did, with lots of prayer. And he asked if I would go to Hazelwood. I had never lived in the inner city. I had never been around African American people very much. So I learned many things in Hazelwood. Faith became very real to me as I walked the streets in Hazelwood and realized how sheltered I had been growing up and how fortunate I was to be able to walk the faith journey that I did. For many people, faith was not a part of their life. And being the church sat next door to the bar, and having the men come over and pray for me, Lady Barbara, pray for me. I think probably that was one of the greatest changes in my faith, because they touched my heart so much, and I realized how much we have in our Christian faith, and to have Christ as our source of strength, where they had no idea what that was all about. And then I went to Faith Natrona Heights, and it was a whole different world. But again, they have taught me so much, more than I could ever teach them. And they have been a source of joy and love, and watching them come from never having a hands-on ministry to now doing it, and seeing their faith grow as well as mine, and that sharing back and forth. And so this has meant many things to me, but most of all, I think, just the realization of how important having Jesus Christ in your life.
Well said. Barb, thanks so much for all that you've shared today. And as you've had people in your life encourage you along the way, we also pray that you'll continue to be encouraged as you continue to serve God's people. Thanks so much for being here today. And thank you for being with us on Lutherans Alive today. And we know that from wherever you're watching, in your community or near your community, there is a Lutheran congregation that would be very pleased to welcome you. Won't you come and worship with us? And won't you join us next time on Lutherans Alive?